Hi, everybody, and welcome to 92.3 The Fans YouTube page. He's Daryl Ruiter. I'm Andy Baskin. Little post-game action as the Browns win their third and final preseason game of the year here at Huntington Bank Field. They're able to take down the New England Patriots, and we saw backups. It's a much different story than it was here on Saturday, but we did see some good things, and, man, I got to tell you, Luke Floria and a couple of quarterbacks can feel pretty good walking out of this place.
Yeah, in fact, I think everyone can walk out feeling pretty good after this one. 37-13. Dillon Gabriel was fantastic in the first half. 12 of 15, nearly 200 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns. Almost had a hat trick to Luke Floria. And then I thought Taylen Green came in the second half and did a lot of really good things. Gave some folks a heart attack there on that 30-yard scramble out of the back of the end zone, out past the 30-yard line. But you're right, Andy. I mean, there's not a whole lot to feel bad about. And it had Todd Monken talking about what's to come this weekend, and that is to trim down to 53. And he flat out said, it sucks. He's proud of everyone that's come in here and worked hard. And some guys are making some difficult decisions for Andrew Berry, Todd Monken, the front office, and this coaching staff this weekend.
I know everyone wants to talk about the quarterbacks, but let's just talk about Luke Floria for a second, because he did have a touchdown on Saturday too. You released another wide receiver earlier in the day, a guy that had been here for a while, and I looked at him as a bubble guy and a practice squad player like he was last year. I don't know. I'm trying to get the read on Todd Monken when he was talking about him afterwards, and I wasn't sure. I kind of got more of the, well, look at the wide receivers we have, and it's a numbers game, kind of. I don't know. You tell me, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I came away with it. No guarantees that his performance is going to, shake the tree, if you will, shake anything up. He was very clear about Dillon Gabriel, despite how well he played. Hey, you know what? The top two quarterbacks are set. It's Deshaun Watson, the one, and Shedeur Sanders, the two. And when you look at that wide receiver room, Andy, I mean, whether it is they keep 5 or 6, I don't think they keep 7. I don't see it, especially if we're going to sit here and have a conversation about them keeping 4 quarterbacks. But he certainly has earned a roster spot, at worst a practice squad spot. And hey, maybe he showed enough this preseason that if he does get placed on waivers, he gets picked up by somebody and he does get an opportunity. One player, though, in that room that I think may have played himself off the team tonight, Gage Larvin.
Yeah.
He had a real rough night, especially in the return game. And you know how important special teams becomes for those bubble players, those guys that are on the fringe, right? And he would probably, I mean, he's the last wide receiver in the room, right?
Right.
And so special teams is usually going to decide that for you. So I think that, Gage is a guy, going to be an uphill battle after tonight's performance for him to make this team.
All right, let's kind of go back to the beginning on this, especially with Dillon Gabriel. So Gabriel tonight ends up, 12 of 15, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns. His longest was a 52. What happened to him? I mean, when you go back to last year and to where you are now, I know he got hurt.
Yeah.
Okay? And then everything seemed to switch for him, and that was the point where Sanders kind of took over and has never looked back. And even going into camp this year, like, Gabriel has just been an afterthought on everything.
Yeah, I mean, and you could hear, Todd Monken made it clear tonight there's no guarantee they keep all 4 quarterbacks. They may have to move one of these guys. Could be Dillon Gabriel. I
think there's some folks out there, especially if you're sitting in Oregon right now watching this going, well, I hope they do move on from him because it'll give him a chance maybe somewhere else.
Right. Because
Shedeur Sanders fans say the same thing, too.
Right. I just don't think it's going to happen here if he's going to be a starter in the NFL. I still don't think he's a starter in the NFL, but I do feel like he's a backup quarterback. He's very intelligent. He and these are Todd Monken's words, can go out there and show you he can operate. And that's important for a backup quarterback in any situation, to be able to go in there and operate no matter what. And I think that's what's going to keep him around in this league. Again, I don't see him as a starting quarterback, but I do see him as a player that's going to bounce around a little bit and is going to be able to have himself a nice career as a backup quarterback, as someone that can come in a pinch and kind of hold the fort down. He's probably not going to carry a team, but boy, how could you not walk away from this evening impressed with what he did out there? The way the offense moved up and down the field, they had 27 points at halftime. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a Browns game where they had 27 points at halftime.
Especially for a team that averages just over 16, right?
Right.
You know.
And so, like, credit where it's due. Now, the competition he was up against, the Patriots had basically the same level of competition out there, the back end of their roster. But here's the bottom line. He went out there and performed. Deshaun Watson faced that same level of competition and had a couple of 3-and-outs and an interception, okay, in the third quarter last preseason game. He's the starting quarterback. So, I'm going to give Dillon Gabriel his credit, and I actually had a lot of respect for that press conference that we just watched from him. And, of course, you'll be able to see that here on the 92.3 The Fan YouTube channel as well if you'd like to watch the long form there. But, he, I think, did enough to where, if Shedeur Sanders wasn't here and cemented as the number 2 quarterback, I think he did enough to be worthy of consideration of being the number 2 here.
Both quarterbacks extremely mature. Taylen Green coming out of this thing too, as you watch him and in his press conference, that's the first time I really heard him speak in that kind of scenario in that format, and I got to tell you, I was very impressed with the way he just kind of handled everything and took in the moment and understood where he was and knew this was his first chance and opportunity in the NFL and took advantage of that. And then even I asked him at the end, I think a lot of people look at him as, man, this guy's got tons of talent.
Yeah.
And he's got size, and he's got speed, and he's got a lot of things that make you think, just get him the football, right? And so I think the natural question is have you ever played receiver? And he said, he was asked in high school to do a little bit, but he was very firm in his thoughts of he is a quarterback.
Well, and the Browns are firm in their thoughts as well. He is a quarterback. Yeah. But you look at, 66 rushing yards on 8 attempts and 27 yards passing, 5 of 7. At that point, though, you're not looking to throw the ball all over the yard. You're just trying to wind that clock and get the hell out of here.
I think the other part about him being a wide receiver, too, is we have this is probably the best wide receiving room that we've seen in a long time.
I'll say this. We go back to the Terrell Pryor years, right?
Yeah, and I think that's
a different conversation.
Yeah, I think Browns fans can look at that size, speed, and say, okay, I get, Terrell Pryor was able to have some amazing seasons.
Well, he had a 1,000-yard receiving season.
Yeah, and so you're like, well, maybe they found the next Terrell Pryor, but, if he's a quarterback, he's a quarterback, and that's okay, too.
I think he's got enough to be a quarterback. He just needs the reps and the work. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But as Todd Monken, constantly says, hey, there's only so many to go around.
Right.
And when you're trying to prepare for a season, I mean, Monken, I think, understanding of the situation, but I think Monken would have preferred to just have one quarterback get all those reps during training camp to get him ready, but he had to split between 2 guys. And, Dillon Gabriel talked about it and how challenging it has been for him, where you go through a week and you have maybe 25 to 30 total reps in the 11-on-11, but you've got to still do what you have to do to make sure you're ready when your number's called. That's hard to do in this league. And again, that's why I give Dillon a lot of credit going out there and doing what he did tonight. But Taylen Green shows you his athleticism. He's got a big arm as well. But he's a roller coaster. You take the good with the bad with a young player like that. Again, I was waiting for a safety to either get called on an offensive holding or he was going to accidentally find his foot on the back line. No, then he turned it into a 30-yard run going from the back of the end zone out to the 33. So there's a lot of raw talent with him that I think is going to take some patience and take some time for him to develop. But he's an intriguing player to watch going forward.
I think the other guy that kind of jumped off the page for me was Rocket Sanders, who averaged almost 5 yards a carry in this one. He looked like an NFL player against guys that might not be playing in the NFL next week.
He made the team.
Yeah, I don't think
he's
your third running back. Yeah.
There's no question he's the third running back behind, of course, Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson. But boy, is he a lot of fun to watch as well. And I'm telling you, the skill players offensively, I think, are going to help Deshaun Watson and eventually Shedeur Sanders out tremendously this year. I think that they are good enough to be able to raise the play, I should say, of the quarterbacks. And so hopefully that shows itself starting week 1, September 13th in Jacksonville. But, yeah, I'll be honest with you, Andy, and we've known each other for a long time. I can't remember the last time I was this excited about a young core of skill players for the Cleveland Browns offensively. And look, they've had some really good offensive players here, okay, over the years. But I'm just talking collectively, all the skill positions from the running back depth, tight end, not as deep as it needs to be, but I think Harold Fannin can carry that load all on his own. And then you look at this receiver core, you got 4 guys up top. You know, we're not sitting here talking about this the 5th or 6th wide receiver.
Cut your number 2 receiver, number 2 or 3 receiver from last year today.
Yeah. And he was a 2022 third-round pick, right? And just
third-round picks haven't had good luck, let's be honest.
No, and they really haven't. But unfortunately, injuries. Every time he seemed to get it going, and obviously we're referencing Cedric Tillman here, the Browns really thought when they drafted him he was going to be a nice red zone weapon for them. And it just never materialized. And every time he'd get hot, he'd unfortunately suffer another injury. And you hate that for the kid. But the competition was what it was in that room, and the play has been elevated significantly. You have a lot of talent in there. The 5th and 6th, assuming they keep 6, those 2 roster spots, 1 or 2, right, are hotly contested right now. We know who the top 4 guys are, and we're not sitting here saying that the number 6 guy that's going to be kept is someone that's going to be counted on to try and carry the offense. Because that, by the way, not how it's supposed to work in the National Football League. So they have 4 legitimate targets in the receiver room that can help them immediately. And then, of course, you factor in, obviously, your tight ends and your running backs and their ability to catch the ball. You're looking at 8, 9 options in the passing game, and that's what you want.
All right, so the next big moment will be Sunday at 6 o'clock when the 53-man roster has to be turned in. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the final roster.
Right, and what's also interesting, too, is they're going to practice on Saturday, which is, I don't know. I'm used to them.
Well, does that make you think the roster will be set by Saturday? Don't you think?
I don't know. Or is it a final audition for a couple of bubble guys? Like I do find it very curious. They're practicing on Saturday because I am used to them taking time off until usually they practice on cutdown day. But Here's the difference: this year cutdowns are not turned in at 4 p.m. They are now turned in at 6 p.m. Sunday evening. Also, we're used to dealing with Monday and Tuesday being that final cutdown day, right? Well, it's a Sunday evening this time around. It used to be, the Browns would practice maybe at like 3:30 in the afternoon on cutdown day, and we'd know what the 53 looked like then.
Right.
Not going to be the case this year. So they will practice Saturday, not practice on Sunday, and we'll get the initial 53-man roster Sunday evening, and then obviously some changes. I don't think a tremendous amount of changes. There'll be some movement. There always is. But it's not going to be like in years past where they're claiming 15, 16 guys off that waiver wire trying to fill out the roster. No, they'll probably claim anywhere from 5 to 10 guys to fill some holes, if that many, right? But, yeah, it's going to be a very fluid situation all going through next week. And keep in mind, they don't play a game until September 13th in Jacksonville. It feels like an eternity, but it's going to be here before we know it.
You're right. He's Daryl Ruiter. I'm Andy Baskin. Thanks for watching us here on 92.3 The Fans YouTube channel. Again, you'll have more as soon as those cut downs are down. You and Coach Riz will be back with you. Thanks for watching the 92.3 The Fan YouTube channel.